Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this video series on making epoxy resin shelves. Today I'm going to show you how we go from this to this. So first steps are, we'll crack these out of the moulds. You can actually see where the resin's overflowed on the shelves, and what I spoke about last time in terms of taping those cores to stop them from sticking to the resin applies pretty well here, so I should be able to just snap that off. That's why taping is so important. You can also see just down on the side here that we had a little bit of a leak. Not a major deal though, managed to catch that quickly, put some tape over it and run some sealant. So it's worth sticking around for probably the first couple of hours just to make sure that you catch any leaks as they appear and patch them up before you get yourself a god-awful mess. What we can also see here is that knot hole that we filled up with resin, so that's actually worked out pretty well. I took the sealant off, but that's actually filled it in pretty good. Now we've got the cores off, next thing is to get the moulds taken apart. So reverse steps as before, we'll take all the screws out and then we'll crack these open. Once you've taken the screws out, the next step is to prise the mould apart. If you can't do it by hand, don't worry, a little bit of gentle persuasion using a mallet should get the job started. And you can see there, nice, neat separation. It will stick to the silicone, so if it's a little bit resistant, don't worry, don't panic, just keep going at it gently. It does of course help if you take all the screws out first. And as you can see, the last few parts come away pretty easily, and it's also, because of making sure that your plywood is lined first, it will separate easily. So there you have it, one freed resin shelf. The join is absolutely beautiful between the wood and the resin. You can see underneath it's nice and flat, so we can run that now through the thicknesser no problem, and we'll get this finished up before we start the sanding process. What we've got here is my Triton Thicknesser. It's a 12-inch thicknesser. This is what we're going to run the shelves through. Simple reason I'm not using waxments to plane a thicknesser is we don't really need to plane a surface because it's flat enough already, so all we're interested in now is creating the thickness of the shelf so that both are exactly the same. Here we've got both shelves now fresh out the thicknesser, they're both nice and flat. The next steps are we're going to put them through the table saw in order to make them the final length and width. Okay, back at the workbench. We've just trimmed the shelves to the final sizes, so let's just confirm what those are. So they are 603mm wide, or 23 3/4 inches, by 227mm deep, or 8 and 15/16 of an inch, which is perfect. So we'll just grab one of the brackets just to be absolutely sure that we've got the right size. Yeah, they look great. What I want to do now, I want to grab the router and I want to just put a rounded edge just so that I can try and match that. I don't know if you can get that on camera. Just try and match that rounded profile. So what we'll do, we'll use this. This is just a 1/4 inch round over bit, which is perfect for what we want. Next step now is sanding. You can see, just because of the round over bit, you might be able to pick that out. There's a slight lip there. I'm going to start with 80 grit just in order to take that lip out, but the majority of it's going to be done with 120, 240 and then 320 before we put a finish on. I'm not going to go any higher than that. I don't particularly want the resin to have a gloss effect to it. I want it to be more matte, otherwise it'll just be a little bit too strong. Now that we've done all the sanding, the next step is to apply the finish. So what I want to do is talk about the finish that we're going to use today. This is Osmo Extra Thin Clear Finish. It's an oil wax hybrid. It's so easy to apply. You just simply brush it on, you wait half an hour, and then you wipe it off. You can put up to 2 coats on a piece of furniture. We're going to do 1 today. We're going to wait for that to dry off and cure, and then we'll apply wax on top. To apply the finish, we're going to use a foam brush. I've always found that to be the easiest way to do it. So we'll dip it in, and now everyone's favourite part, certainly is my favourite part anyway, is we get to see the gorgeous colour of that resin come through. Trick here is don't be tempted to put too much on. When this first coat is ready to go, we're going to come in with some kitchen towel and just wipe off the excess, and then you're going to see that it's going to leave an absolutely stunning satin sheen on the wood. Right, that's it now for the first coat, so we'll see you back in 30 minutes and we're going to wipe it down and then apply a coat on the bottom. Okay, cool, it's been 30 minutes, so next steps now, we've got our kitchen towel or kitchen roll, depending where you're from, and we're simply going to wipe off the excess. It really is as easy as that. What we're going to do now, we've buffed it all off, we're going to leave the finish to fully cure for 24 hours. That gives the oil a chance to settle into the wood, for the wax to dry, and then we're going to go over it with a polishing machine, add another layer of furniture wax, just to give it that extra tough finish, and then we'll show you the finished article. It's been a couple of days now since we applied the last coat of finish, so that's dried off nicely, it's cured. You can see there's a lovely satin sheen over the 2 shelves. So the final stage in the process is we're going to apply some wax polish just to give it a lovely deep lustre and that final layer of protection. We're going to use this, which is a Fids & Son Supreme Wax Polish. It's a clear colour, so it shouldn't darken the wood at all or darken the finish. To apply that, just going to use some kitchen roll or kitchen towel, wipe it on, give it half an hour, and then buff it off using a buffer. It's now been about 30 minutes, so we'll just give this a buffer. I've got my orbital sander with a buffing pad. I've only ever used this for wax polish, so there's no risk of cross-contamination. And when we finish with this should have a lovely deep shine on both shelves. And there we have it, both shelves buffed to an absolutely gorgeous satin sheen. They are super smooth. I'm super pleased with how these came out. You can really see the shine on that resin and the smoothness of the wood and the colours and the way they play together. So if you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be posting more woodworking videos in the near future. Thanks for watching.